Hello everyone, welcome to Breakfast Gamer, the home of Breakfast Gamer, and Merry Christmas! Unless you don't celebrate Christmas, and then, in which case, happy holiday that you do celebrate. Unless I don't get this video done on time, in that case, Happy New Year! Well, it's that time of the year where we all like to sit back and watch our favorite holiday specials, unless you're me, in which case you had to watch one of the worst holiday specials ever created. I can remember how I had to do this thing like it was only yesterday. Probably because it was yesterday.
Flashback.
You're a mean one, doo-doo-doo-doo, Mr. Grinch. Now, to ruin other people's Christmases. Okay. Let's see what I got for Christmas. Ooh. Wonder if there's a movie on it. Oh, there is.
End of Flashback.
So, for my first ever movie review and Christmas special, let's take a look at It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas Movie. Yes, it does have too many words, and that's coming from Misty. Alright, let's get some facts out about this turkey before tearing into it. The film was actually a co-production between that of the Jim Henson Company and NBC, because partnering with the network that killed your father's most ambitious project was a good idea, I guess. The film was directed by Kirk Thatcher and written by Jim Lewis, both of whom had directed and written good stuff before and would do so again. The film is a parody of the 1946 classic It's a Wonderful Life, with some other parodies of classics here and there. I mean, a Muppet's Wonderful Life parody? Sounds great, right? Well, not exactly. This movie was produced in a time in the Muppets era where they weren't doing well financially or critically. With the box office bomb of Muppets from Space taking Jim Henson Pictures with it, and Frank Oz and head writer Jerry Jewell both departing from the flagship series, yeah, this wasn't a very good time. Not helping matters was NBC executive Tom Martin making heavy changes to the script, which impacted the film dreadfully. But I'll put my money where my mouth is and explain why I don't think this movie is very good at all. Let's begin, shall we? The film actually begins pretty decently. It establishes this world where Muppets and people coexist pretty well, and it captures the spirit of shopping before Christmas pretty good. There's even a little jab at somehow all Christmas classics having a snowman narrator.
Missed Christmas, and I see storm blowing, and
Hey, buddy, what are you doing? We're trying to make a movie over here.
Why, I'm Joe Snow, your affable, good-natured narrator.
Snowman narrator? We don't have no snowman narrator. Now get out of shot, you Burl Lives wannabe.
No snowman narrator? That's a big mistake. I'm part of the whole holiday collective consciousness. I'll have my attorney see you, Fraud, Slush, and Snow Cohen.
The film begins with a Christmas party going on at the Muppet Theater, with Johnny Fiamma singing Jingle Bells and Ralph playing piano. Yeah, there's two characters you never thought you'd see interact, huh? One thing I do like about this era is how they blended the classic Muppet Show characters and the new Muppets Tonight characters pretty seamlessly. I'd love to see the Muppets Tonight characters interact with the Muppet Show characters again, only this time with actually good writing. At the party, we see some Muppet best friends exchanging in Gift of the Magi parodies. The first two are actually pretty funny, while the third one just kinda goes on, and also makes Johnny Fiamma look like a prick.
All the way.
Johnny, my best friend in the whole wide world. I sold my moped to buy you this solid gold record player.
Well, thanks, Al. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. A doobie-doo-dop.
And while the Muppets are all having fun, Kermit and Fozzie come in looking down, and then this happens.
We lost everything. I'm sorry I convinced you all to work so hard and believe in this dream. It was all for nothing. We lost the money, we lost the theater. We've lost everything.
But it'll work out all right, right, Uncle Kermit? I mean, we'll just all pull together and everything will be okay, right?
Not this time.
Talk about mood whiplash. So yeah, this scene is actually pretty good at being both dramatic and emotional. From the music, to the performances, to even a few funny jokes spliced in there so we don't feel too bad. I'm not sure why I was talking down on this movie earlier. It was starting out pretty good. Oh, yeah. As we see... Wait, when did The Office come out? 2001. Yeah, this common trope of riffing on office work. The only difference is that this office is heaven, for some reason, as we meet our main character that's not Kermit, Daniel the Angel. And... oh, where to start? Well, for starters, Daniel's performance is not very good. He always sounds like he needs to blow his nose, he's got no changing expression or emotion, and he always is stuttering and slurring. I mean, who would want to watch an awkward, sweaty, nerdy loser wearing glasses who only speaks in one tone, has a slight overbite? Well, I'm not a professional, so what's his excuse? So after Daniel's coworkers say that they're not going to go talk to the boss about it, Daniel decides to talk to the boss himself. And it's here we meet Whoopi Goldberg, who is literally playing God.
Who dares disturb my peace?
Don't you just love the big voice? It's so scary.
She does a good job at it, at least in comparison to Daniel. She's funny, she has emotional range, and she's pretty godlike. If there is a god, then I'd expect him or her to be like this. Daniel convinces her to take a look at Kermit's case, and says that she'll send a field agent if she finds it worthy of one. But if it isn't, then Daniel will have to convert all of God's CDs to MP3 or something. I don't know. This was 2002. So they take a look at the all-sign TV while having remote troubles.
What channel?
857-3296 and then press pound.
Which one is pound? Is that the tic-tac-toe thing or the squiggly bug thing?
Tic-tac-toe.
Oh, you do it.
Oh. Okay.
Topical. Hey, I can't figure out what button to press on the remote. I guess it is. So we see where the story really begins, with a guest spot on The Tonight Show for Kermit to promote their upcoming Christmas show. Well, after that free publicity, Gonzo introduces Kermit to Nick, the director he hired for the show. Nick is a snooty French art house filmmaker who is supposed to be uncomfortably funny, but just comes off as uncomfortable. Nick then presents the show that he's been working on to Kermit and Gonzo, Cirque du Soleil, and Nick and his show really highlights a lot of my problems with this movie. A lot of the humor is trying to be uncomfortably funny, but I don't find it funny, so it really just comes off as uncomfortable and strange. Which can work. A lot of Gonzo's humor from the early Muppet Show was uncomfortably funny. But that was because it had actual good writing and a joke beyond, oh, this is just weird and uncomfortable. Midway through the show, an effect involving Piggy goes wrong, causing mayhem to wherever it goes. She knocks Rizzo into a wall, which turns his nose red, and the show crumbles to pieces. But of course, Nick and Gonzo love it, because hey, who doesn't love Muppets shows crumbling to pieces, am I right? Well, not this one, because this one isn't very funny, but, whatever. Kermit, however, much like me, thinks the show is uncomfortable garbage and tells Nick that he's missed the point thoroughly. Nick tries to explain to him that it's a metaphor for the dark side of Christmas, whatever, but Kermit says that the show's not about the dark side of Christmas, but about the joys of Christmas. Nick, however, much like all indie filmmakers, gets pissed when Kermit doesn't understand and criticizes him, and quits. Gonzo and Kermit ponder about what to do for the opening number now, and after a classic gag with New Zealand, and they see Johnny and Sal making fun of Rizzo for his red nose, setup for which is not a laugh-out-loud funny gag, but at least a mildly amusing one.
Laughing and calling names? I've got it! I've got it! Meet the new star of the Christmas show, Frosty the Snow Rat.
Gee, Gonzo, I thought you would have gone for Rizzo the red-nosed rat deer.
Oh, sure, if you want to go for the obvious.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Pepe's in this. For those of you who haven't seen a Muppet production after 1996, Pepe originally came from Muppets Tonight, as a double act with an elephant called Seymour. They were basically filling Fozzie's shoes as the characters who never got a laugh from the audience. After Muppets Tonight was cancelled, Seymour was dropped and they gave Pepe a new character. Trait. His one character trait was that he was into women and money. That's it. And it wouldn't be so bad if he were a one-joke character like, say, the Swedish Chef or Crazy Harry, but he was heavily used during this period. Probably because, alongside Gonzo and Rizzo, he was one of the few characters left who still had his original performer. But why they had to make him so annoying, I don't know. Pepe tells Kermit and Gonzo that he got the permits that they needed, as well as one to operate a topless nightclub. Ugh. And afterwards asks for a ticket to Miami. When questioned about this, Pepe tells him that he had been invited to name drop a party hosted by Ricky Martinez. Kermit tells him that unfortunately they're broke, and then Miss Bitterman enters the scene.
Oh, hello! Hello, Muffins!
Hello?
Hi. Hello.
Hi! Rachel Bitterman, new owner of Bitterman Bank and Development.
Oh, well, where's Mr. Bitterman?
Dead.
So yes, her name is Miss Bitterman, and she operates a bank company called Be Bad. Not exactly subtle, but hey, none of the other Muppet villains are, so yeah, whatever. Bitterman tells them that unless they can find a way to pay the rent by midnight, she will evict them. Kermit objects to this, stating that they had a deal with Mr. Bitterman about extending the contract to the week after shows, but she says because they didn't get anything in writing, it doesn't matter anymore. Yeah, you could basically replace Miss Bitterman's dialogue in this scene with this.
Business. Numbers. Is this working?
Yes.
Yay!
Kermit says that owning the theater is their dream, but Miss Bitterman replies with,
Working for a dream. That's beautiful. My employees work for a salary.
Oh, because Pepe wants to work for monies instead of stardust, as Miss Bitterman puts it, he decides to go abandon the Muppets to work for her, while also delivering a product placement and an unfunny sex joke rolled into one.
Gracias.
Starbucks run?
Sí. Do you know I like my coffee like I like my women? A latte.
You know, I was talking to my...
In heaven, Daniel's complaining about Miss Bitterman's immorality, while God thinks that it's good. A cup of Joe sounds good right now, and gets it from a coffee bush. Oh, sorry, I mean coffee shrub. Yeah, that's a pretty funny line. God wonders why Daniel worries about Kermit's credit problems, but Daniel encourages her to keep watching.
All right, I'll keep watching. You're just lucky SpongeBob isn't on right now.
I love SpongeBob.
Do I care?
Topical. Hey man, SpongeBob's on. You wanna come watch it? I guess it is. So Kermit asked Dr. Honeydew and Beaker to figure out a way to raise enough money to pay off the bill by only doing one show. The duo do it using the classic Windows operating system. That's a clever joke.
Yes, Speaker? Me, Momo, me, mind. Yes, I think you have a beautiful mind, too.
Honeydew explains that the only way that they can make enough money to pay off the rent in that time is if they add several thousand seats, which is impossible, or they don't pay anyone by New Year's of next year. Kermit reveals to the Muppet staff that unfortunately they have to refer their paychecks for a year, and much like the Great Muppet Caper, originally the others are very skeptical of this decision, but after Fozzie gives a heartwarming speech, the others decide to join in. Meanwhile, at B-Bad, Pepe and Miss Bitterman are doing what they do best, being uncomfortable and unfunny. However, through their awkward and unfunny dialogue, Pepe reveals that because he needed to get the permits, he has the only copy of the Muppet Theater's contract. And then this happens.
Tell me. Tell me. Tell me.
So after that bit of uncomfortableness, Miss Bitterman reveals her plan to tear down the Muppet Theater and turn it into a nightclub called Club Dot. Meanwhile, back at the Muppet Theater, after both a homophobic joke and a butchering of Howard Tubman's character, Kermit thinks that the show is missing something. Fozzie suggests getting someone with star power. Robin then suggests Kermit to call all the people they could name drop. What you'll notice is that this movie and the 2011 Muppet movie share a lot of similarities. There's even a Muppet wiki page on it. I would complain about that, but to be fair, this came out first. Now granted, 2011 Muppet movie is a better version of this story, but whatever. Anyways, they could only get 2 celebrities to actually appear, and they're not very funny. The others they just name drop. Although I will admit, I did laugh at Triumph's bit.
Oh? Gee, yeah, I could sure do with a little star power around here, Triumph. Is there any way you could help me out?
Muppet movies are always the best.
You mean that?
For me to poop on!
Right, you got me again. Bye-bye.
So, because he can't find any stars, Kermit and the others decide to go ask Miss Piggy to come back. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention that Miss Piggy abandoned the show to join Scrubs? I'm not kidding.
Do we have rhythm? Yeah, find a pulse.
Quick, the pulse.
Let's go.
Clear! Nothing.
Alrighty, let's call it. Time of death, 8:27 a.m.
Yes, they literally put in an advertisement scene for another NBC show. This is corporate shilling. This is selling out. The worst part of the scene is it has literally no effect on the plot. I mean, sure, Piggy comes back in this scene, but that had no bearing on the actual story. That's why I didn't mention it earlier. I'm not actually angry, for those of you who think I am. But I am very disappointed. Really? This was what the Muppets were doing before Disney bought them? But, in light of this very big problem, let me just point out a positive. This was the first film that Miss Piggy, Fozzie, Animal, and Sam the Eagle were not played by Frank Oz. And although he wouldn't take over Sam for quite some time, this was Eric Jacobson's first performance as the former 3 characters. And I will say, he does a pretty good job. He doesn't only just do the voice pretty correctly, but he also does the spot-on performance of movement and captures the character's personality pretty well. I only wish his debut was in an actual good film. Moving on from that scene, Pepe is fantasizing out loud when he overhears Bitterman talking to an employee. The employee in question is played by Matt Lillard, and that's another problem I have with this movie. The celebrities don't really get to do anything that's beyond themselves. I mean, sure, the Muppet Show and the other Muppet movies had dated celebrities, but at least they got to do something beyond their comfort zone. Here, we've got Joan Cusack giving an over-the-top performance, like usual, and Matt Lillard being an idiot, like usual. Anyways, Miss Bitterman tells Matt Lillard her secret plan to change the rent's due date from 12 o'clock midnight to 6 p.m. Pepe, however, overhears this and has an "oh god, what have I done" moment, and then decides to go warn the others. I guess he's not such a bad guy. He still isn't funny, but he's got a heart.
You know, not everything is an innuendo.
Hey, it's what Jim Lewis said to Tom Martin. Back at the Muppet Theater, it's opening night, and hey, look, Pops is handling the door. Oh, and Bunsen and Beaker are wearing their Muppet Christmas Carol outfit.
Nice touch.
So anyway, the Muppets have enough money to cover their rent, and they're all about to go on stage with a show-stopping show. Pepe comes back and tries to tell Kermit the problem, but Kermit doesn't want to hear it since he, abandoned them. But before Pepe can get to the point of his return, he gets too caught up in his own love life or something like that, and gets caught on to Rizzo and his reindeer. Kermit then goes to introduce the show.
Now, at this time, we'd like to ask you to please turn off all cell phones and pagers. Okay, thank you. Now...
Topical.
Bitch lasagna, bitch lasagna. Rizzo, nothing but a bitch lasagna.
I guess it is. So after Kermit introduces the show, we get easily the best part of this movie. Moulin Scrooge. Oh my god, this parody is just so awesome. In fact, this parody kind of reminds me of the Sesame Street parodies they're doing now. Everything in this parody works great. From the crazy editing, to the crazy camera angles, to just the craziness from the movie itself. And yeah, there's some Muppet crumbling down in this, but it's actually pretty funny. This sketch is easily on par with some of the classic Muppet Show ones, and it's a shame that nothing in this movie could have been this good. So then, Pepe finally tells Kermit about what he needs to hear, and then Kermit realizes that he's only got a short time before 6 o'clock. He attempts to go deposit the money, but because of the Muppet Theater's craziness, someone has to run it down. But luckily, Fozzie offers to deposit the money himself. Or luckily. Kermit asks him about his act, but Pepe offers to cover for him, and that he does, filling in for Fozzie's shoes for the first time in his career since 1966. His way to deposit the money, Fozzie embarks on a misadventure of various topical references. No, seriously, Fozzie's journey is pretty much just topical references.
Crocodiles.
There aren't any crocodiles here.
Are you telling me how to do my job?
No. It's just that this is a city and there aren't any swamps.
Crikey! You're a bear!
Huh. I'm gonna have to tranquilize him, because bears get a tad cranky when they get a bit stressed.
Crikey! There he goes!
I'm sure this joke won't be horribly offensive in the near future at all. So, after running from the crocodile hunter, Fozzie runs into a tree painting factory, which makes him look like... yeah. Then Benedict Cumberbatch, waka waka, bumps into Santa, who suspiciously has the same colored bag as Fozzie. Yeah, you can see this ending coming from a mile away. But there's no time to worry about miscolored bags. We get to see, well, I'll give them this, they managed to make the makeup as terrifying as it is in the actual movie. After getting cleaned off in a bathhouse, Fozzie finally makes it to be bad and runs into, what else? An offensive stereotype.
Where's Miss Bitterman's office?
What?
Where's Miss Bitterman's office? I need to deposit this money.
Well, if I was a bear, I suppose I'd deposit my honey in the oak tree somewhere.
No, not honey. Money.
What?
Money.
You know,
I need
I'm
to
not
give
even
Miss
offended
Bitterman
by
her
this. I just find it lazy.
Oh, Miss Bitterman's laundry.
Oh,
Her
no.
offices are on the 13th floor. I let her know you're coming.
Thank you.
Gesundheit.
So then Fozzie gets to Miss Bitterman's office, but first he must pass through deadly lasers. Now, you might think they make a Matrix joke about this, but surprisingly, they don't, and it's actually a pretty clever subversion. I don't think it's a funny joke, but, it's clever subversion. Fozzie brings in the bag full of cash, with quotation marks, and thinks that he's won. But, oh no, it looks like he got the bags mixed up, and oh, you all saw this coming from the minute he bumped into that Santa Claus. And unfortunately, it's too late to do anything now. Back at the Muppet Theater, the other Muppets are having a party. But Kermit's worried about Fozzie. Scooter thinks he'll be fine, but Kermit just wants to make sure. However, it turns out Fozzie's not fine because he didn't get the money in. Aww. The duo search for the bag of money, but since that proves fruitless, they decide to just go to Miss Bitterman herself.
Does it help that I feel really badly?
That's not right. Grammatically.
So Kermit goes to Miss Bitterman, and this scene can pretty much be summed up like this.
Forever, you ruined my life! You ruined your own life!
So then, Miss Bitterman makes Kermit depressed and suicidal, and God doesn't like this. Daniel asks if a field agent can be sent, and one can. The only problem is it's him, and he's never been experienced at anything. But don't worry. God gives him a manual.
What's this? Regulatory Guide to the Design and Implementation of Divine Intervention on Earth? I should probably tell you I'm a very slow reader.
Okay, fine.
Performing miracles for dummies, huh?
Topical. Actually. Oh, forget it. So Daniel comes down from the heavens, and then Kermit, being frozen, Danny has to unthaw him, and then Kermit has a delightfully performed rant, one that we rarely see in the Steve Whitmire era. So Daniel takes him to the world of Star Wars before taking him to the world in which he was never born. Gonzo's a homeless street performer, Doc Hopper's is open for business, the Electric Mayhem are river dancers, Fozzie's a pickpocket, and Piggy's a phone actor. It's all fine, but there's a few key points that I want to mention, and we're kind of on a time crunch, so I had to get that stuff out of the way first. So, the first point is the NBC sellouts. Yeah. But that's not even the worst NBC product placement. The worst one is, oh God, the scene where Rizzo gets eaten alive on Fear Factor. But why is this so uncomfortable? I mean, Muppets eating other Muppets has been a big part of the tradition. So why does this fail while others are hilarious? I think it's because, well, number one, the bigger person eating the smaller Muppet is not a giant monster, but in fact a normal, regular human. And number two, she doesn't really want to eat it, and it's made intentionally uncomfortable. It's also unintentionally not funny. And all of those problems actually culminate in Club Dot, as well as every other problem this movie has. The out of character characters, the uncomfortable, unfunny jokes, the weird sexual undertones that are actually overtones, the terrible performances. It's got it all. And also, for those of you who thought Incredibles 2 had too much seizure-inducing imagery, why, they even had the balls to throw in Cage Dancing Scooter. And it's as uncomfortable as it sounds. But there actually is a light at the end of this tunnel, and that is the song of Everyone Matters, sung by Gonzo and Kermit. The song doesn't completely fix everything, and it doesn't even help compensate for the bad. But it is rather nice, and it does make the pain a little less painful. So, yeah. Alright, so I should probably wrap this up before this video becomes longer than Infinity War, but basically, Kermit wishes he wants to go back to his own life, and Danny originally doesn't know how to do it, but then he learns how to do it, and it's to spit in Kermit's face, which is kind of gross and unnecessary, but hey, there was Cage Dancing Scooter, so it could have been a lot worse. Kermit goes home and basically, with joy in his soul and something, and hugs all his friends and whatever. And then Miss Bitterman comes in, and she and Piggy have a fight.
So you want a piece of me?
Go, Piggy! Piggy, come on! I see you are very agile for a plus-size pig.
Oh my goodness! And you will be very unattractive with a plus size.
I see that this reference is very topical. It is actually very still topical. I'm pretty sure this audience is sick of this gag. So then Pepe comes in and reveals that with the money he got from Bitterman, he got a permit stating that the Muppet Theater was a historical landmark and that could be never changed, despite who owns it. And I know I'm like slurring consistently right now, but I just want this to end. I'm really tired. So the Muppets all sing Christmas carols. The army and the Santa at the beginning got a lot of money for Bitterman, and Daniel and God have an existential religious discussion.
Yeah? But what did he need?
What do you think he needed?
I asked you first.
Yes, but I'm the boss.
Yeah, but I don't know the answer.
People just really need to know what matters in life. And you opened Kermit's eyes and showed him what he already had. People don't need my intervention.
If people don't need your intervention, then how come the Salvation Army ended up with all the money? The Muppets got to keep their theater, and Bitterman ended up with nothing except her own greed.
Danny L., I work in mysterious ways.
Well, on behalf of the Muppets, thank you.
And so ends It's a Very Merry, Happy, Slappy, Jolly Something or Other. And it was not as bad as I expected it to be. Oh, don't get me wrong, it was definitely still terrible, but it had some bright spots here and there, and I thought the characters were all generally in character. And for something of this era, it could have been a whole lot worse. Still, the good stuff doesn't outweigh the bad stuff, and I wouldn't recommend this to anyone. But if you are curious, I wouldn't mind giving it a shot. And you should probably just watch the 2011 movie instead if you want this storyline done correctly. But who would want to watch a terrible special with a few good moments in it when there are so many great specials with no terrible moments in them? Christmas is ruined. I wouldn't be so sure about that, my friend. You see, the other plushies and I pitched in and got you some good Muppet Christmas movies on your device. Guys? Did you really get all these Christmas specials for me? Yeah, man, it's the best we could do. I mean, you've been so nice to us. Yes. Yeah, you created us. Alright, well, hey, camera crew, come in a little bit. I want you to hear this. Guys, I think I realized something when you got me those specials. Christmas isn't about getting gifts or watching specials or doing any other traditions. Christmas is about doing those traditions with your family and the people you love. And that's you guys, even though you aren't people. And even though we only got 2 reviews out of the 7 that we filmed. But you know what, that's okay, because we'll get more out next year. And I love working with you guys. Save the sweet stuff for later. Okay. So hey, you guys want to watch these Christmas specials with me? Oh yeah, man, oh yes, I want to, yeah. Right. I gotta do one thing first. Well, Merry Christmas to those of you at home. I'm Breakfast Gamer, and this has been Breakfast Gamer.
Hee hee, I creamed.